Beth, did you call in maybe and had it on speakerphone? Just a thought.
Uh, that's true. Hi, everybody. Welcome. This is our second call. Yeah, Beth, if you're on your computer and called in, sometimes that can echo back and forth. So just go off one.
I'm on my phone outside.
Huh. Awesome. Okay. Not sure why the echoing started. I think maybe it's cleared out now. So, okay. So I just want to touch base on where we are from last week. We talked about vision and everyone's whys. And I know that I know a couple of you have really worked on those. And I would encourage you to put it on a Post-it note and put it in, wherever you see it. So like your computer, put it on your steering wheel, wherever you're going to see it, your bathroom mirror. 3 different places, same vision, same dream, so that every day when you're waking up, you can be like, this is why I'm doing this. This is going to drive me today. But it's really got to be at your core. You've really got to get down to that real reason of why you're doing this. And it's going to be different from everyone, but you can all use that vision to guide you. So did you guys have any questions on vision at all? Anything that surprised you when you're doing the exercise to get to your vision? Okay, then let's move on for this week. So this week we're talking about like getting excited and getting people on board and how to have those conversations about that. So really, when you're looking at it, have you guys, Brandy and Beth, have you guys learned of the prosperity circle yet? Do you know what that is?
I've looked at it. I haven't really worked through it, though.
Okay, prosperity circle?
No.
Okay, Laura, have you done that yet?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to just kind of cover it real quick. It's a pretty, you can write it down and then we're going to dive into it as we go. So if you draw a circle on a piece of paper, and at the very top you write vision, and then going clockwise, you can write connect, excited, at like, what time would that be, 3 o'clock? Okay, and then and then we'll do the rest later. So that's kind of where we are. We're at the very top is vision, and now we're going to work on excited. And what we do is we work our way around this circle with everything that you do. So getting excited. We are going to really figure out how to get people on board with this. And the first thing we're going to talk about is like anatomy of a conversation and what that looks like. And it's really about a meaningful conversation with people so you can get to know what they really want. And it goes back to, the golden rule is treat others how you want to be treated. But the platinum rule is treat others how they want to be treated. And that's really what we want to do. We want to really look at our energy and say, are we going to people and saying, okay, you're thinking in your head, like, I need 4 to 6 parties because I'm trying to hit team leader. I need 4 to 6 parties. So you're going out there to everybody saying like, okay, do you want to have a party? Do you want to have a party? Do you want to have a party? And that's a lot of what we call like push energy. Whereas where you have a meaningful conversation, you use pull energy, which would be like you are in a conversation with them. Hey, how's it going? Oh, you're really busy. Oh, what are you guys doing? What makes it so busy? And they say, oh, we have a bunch of sports. Oh, what kind of sports? How many kids do you have? So you're listening to them. You're asking questions. You're asking follow-up questions. You're just getting to know them a little bit. And then you're like, wow, you show some empathy. That is busy. Wow. Wow. What do you guys do for dinner? Okay. And then they can tell you like, oh my gosh, we're always going through the drive-through, or whatever it is that they do for dinner. Or if they're like, oh, I got dinner down. Well, maybe Wild Tree isn't for them right now. You never know. But most of the time in that type of conversation, it is for them. And so then I try and say like, hey, this is what I've learned to do. And I just, tell them a couple things they could come to. I'm having a party, or, does that interest you at all? Do you want to learn? One thing I say all the time, like, oh, do you want to learn more about this? The other conversation I get into a lot is when I ask them what they do. And in turn, eventually they ask me what I do. And my key sentence is, I help busy people make quick, easy meals on a budget. That's kind of my key sentence that I say. And then they're like, what? And so then I tell them, one more sentence or two more sentences. And then they're like, wow, that's interesting. And I say, well, do you want me to keep you up to date on what's going on? Okay. So it's about listening to really what they have going on, letting them, as we call it, you'll hear words like empty their cup, meaning that most people that you run into, their head is so full because they are so busy with their life and everything going on. They can't even, if you just went up and started talking about Wildfire and how great it is, they're just like, I have no idea what she's talking about, because their head is just so full of stuff. So if they can empty some of that stuff out by having a conversation with you, then there's space to learn more about Wildfire. Okay. I'm going to send you guys a video that talks about meaningful conversations in more depth that we just don't have time to get to tonight. But I think that'll be able to help, and you guys can watch that and go from there. So just in socializing your business and building that excitement and energy around your business, you just really want to be cognizant of messages that you're putting out there, like on Facebook. You want to be cognizant of the energy that you take to a party. You want to think about when you start coaching people, what energy are you bringing to that coaching call? Is it pure exhaustion? Is your cup too full? So think about that. And some ways that you guys can empty your cup before a party: you can call a friend, you can listen to music. If anyone else has one, throw it out there for me. But some people do a little dance party before they go. I mean, some people turn off the radio before they go to just have that peace and quiet before they walk into that party. Because when you walk into that party, it should be all about them. And if you're having this awesome day and you walk into the party and she's kind of more of a quiet hostess and you're bringing this loud energy, it's just not going to flow well. So you kind of got to take it down a notch and kind of match her energy a little bit. Whereas there was a party that I walked into recently that was, people were bringing their own drinks to the party. It was crazy. The music was pumping like we were at the nightclub. And that's a little more than my natural energy. I was like, wow. It was crazy. But I just had to take a breath and be like, okay, I can do this. Tonight's going to be more go with the flow. Nobody's on time. And I can just accept that and move on. And it was a great party. But had I been more of okay, let's get going and stringent, that would not have flown with that group. And because I was able to change my energy, I had 3 bookings and a really solid rep lead that I think is signing up this week. So had I not, though, I think I wouldn't have had that, and I have a great relationship with that hostess, and she said she'd probably host again. So you really have to look at that energy that you're bringing. Do you guys have any questions about that?
No, I would just agree with you. Just, you're right about playing to your crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Finding what's important to them.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean losing your authenticity by any means. It's just decreasing that energy, letting them empty their cup to you. That's why at the beginning of the party, a lot of times how I start by thanking the hostess, and then I ask everyone who's there to introduce themselves and just say, what made you come tonight? Tell me a little about yourself. And I'll kind of joke around and say, did the hostess drag you here tonight? Or, are you here because your kids have food allergies? Or what brought you? And then I just let them kind of tell me around the circle. And not only does that give me information, it lets them empty their cup a little bit. I'm just so busy, and, just gets kind of that out there. You can see and you can feel the whole room kind of relax after you do that. So that's something we learned this year, and it's been working awesome. So to get excited, you really want to be a team leader, you really want to share that story, your story that you have, like 100 to 200 times a month. Okay, so if you think about that and you break it down into like how many parties you're having and how many hosts, with your host coaching, how many people are you getting there, you're still going to have a huge bucket that you're not going to talk to at your parties. And that's where you want to talk to people wherever you are, out and about. Like, I think I told the story about meeting someone at the Honda dealership. I meet people every place I go. And that list of 100, for those of you that are new reps, that list of 100, I still have mine. I have my original list that I keep adding on to as I go through this. So that's what it is. It's like this breathing document that keeps changing. And you just want to keep telling your story, because you just never know who you're going to meet and where and who they know and stuff like that. So if you think about that, 100 to 200 times a month. And that's what Leslie told us. That was her words to us as directors at this last conference. And she said that's what she did when she first started Wildtree. She would just keep telling her story that many times. So the other thing I want to talk about is bookings and recruitings. And we're just going to touch on this just a little bit. And the biggest thing I want to talk about is that a lot of people you're going to hear no from, like in this business especially, you're just going to hear no. And mainly it's their cup is over full, right? They just can't hear anything else. So they're going to say no. And what I want you guys to really focus on is 99% of that time, that no is really not yet. Okay? If you take it as a no, you tend to take it personally. And when you hear like not yet, it's not as personal. And I really think people that are successful in this business have learned that no means not yet, and they do not take it personally. It has everything to do with that other person and where they are in life. And if you just think about things that you've said no to, I have a girl right now, she's asked me to 3 events this week. And I have some family stuff going on and a husband that's traveling, and it's just crazy stuff this week. And so I was like, I cannot make it this week. It has absolutely nothing to do with her. I just cannot make it happen this week. So if you think about it from their perspective and think they must be really busy, and just give them grace in that and just understanding in that, they appreciate it so much that you're not showing any push energy, that they are more susceptible to come back to you and say, hey, now I'm ready now. When I'm available, I'm going to call my friend and be like, hey, I can do this now. I'm so glad you didn't give up on me. And that's normally what I found with Wildtree. I have some people, well, Tegan, she was my first rep lead, and it was 5 years before she signed up. So had I just like given up and never talked to her again, she would never have signed up for Wildtree, or if she would, it wouldn't be with me. But we just stayed friends, and the timing just wasn't right for her. And then when it was, it was. So there is a, what's it called? A grid that has 100 no's on it. And a lot of people who want to try something, a challenge for themselves, will take that grid, and every time they get a no, they'll cross it off. And about every 10th no, it says reward on there, and you can give yourself like a little present, whether that be like, a petty or a bath with no interruptions, or whatever it is that, is like, okay, I got 10 no's. And what you're going to find out is the more you ask, the more yeses you're going to get. It's kind of funny. Like every time I challenge my team to do this and they print off those 10 no's or those 100 no's and they do it, They're like, I just kept getting yeses. I didn't know what to do. I'm like, right. I think sometimes we're just afraid to talk to people about it because we're afraid to get those no's. And it's fear that holds us back. And the one thing I can tell you is, if you let fear hold you back in this business, you aren't going to get very far. You really just have to dive in and get out of your comfort zone and just see what happens. So that's that on no's. Normally, people say yes on the 5th to 12th contact. So think about that. If you talk to somebody and they are like, no, or don't answer or whatever, it's usually the 5th to 12th contact. And most reps give up by the 2nd contact. Okay. So again, I can look at people with bookings who they've been on my booking list for a year and finally had their party. But if I would have just given up, it would have been done a long time ago. So there's also in the MRC, if you guys want to look, there's a file called Overcoming Objections and Hesitations. And that's a good one to just read through and have on hand. So I really want you guys to be focusing on thinking about your energy this week, thinking about meaningful conversations when you talk to people. And I want your goal to be getting 5 people on the weekly opportunity calls. So there's one Wednesday night and there's one Sunday night. So whoever's like in your funnel who's talked about, hey, I might be interested, or you can go through your surveys, your customer surveys to see who might be interested in the business, invite them to that call. And then the most important is invite them to schedule a follow-up call with them, either that night or the next day. And just all you have to say is, oh, what'd you think of the call? What'd you find interesting? And that'll get the conversation rolling. Okay. And then to close the deal, you want to say, all right, are you ready to sign up? And if they're not, they'll tell you why not. And then you schedule another follow-up with them, get them the information they need, let them talk to their husband, whatever it is, but get another follow-up scheduled in that conversation. Okay. Otherwise, are you ready? Yes. So it's you either want a yes or a not yet or a no. One of the 3. That's what you want. Because otherwise they're just sitting on your list and you have no idea what they're thinking or wanting. Okay. And then bookings. We're aiming for like 6 to 8 bookings in a month, especially going for team leader. And September, October, November, those are the best times. Normally you want to get it scheduled before Thanksgiving. I'm trying to remember when Thanksgiving falls this year. Yeah, the 24th. So you could also do them that last week in November too. So up through like November through the 22nd, and then the 27th through 30th of November and into December. But most of you, your goal is to hit team leader October and November. Okay. So that means we got to be building your team, and we're going to do that by getting them on the opportunity call. And we need to be booking your parties. So look through your customer care surveys, call people from your list of 100. Go through your customer care surveys for bookings, any of that. And the best follow-up I can tell you on like any of that really is I do 10 calls a day follow-up. So if you want to look in the MRC and type in 10 calls a day, it should come up. Mo Lorenz did this training, and she does an email and a phone call on day 1, just a phone call on day 3, and then an email and phone call on day 5. And the email and phone call on day 5 pretty much says like, I've been trying to reach you. You must be really busy. If you have time, call me back. Otherwise, I'm going to follow up with you next month. So it's really, you're running a business. You're just trying to catch them. If they're not there, no problem. You'll follow up next month. So you're not harassing people. It takes away that feeling of like I'm bothering somebody, because you have a schedule of how you're doing it and you have a follow-up procedure and you're running a business. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to send you that video on the meaningful conversations, and I'm going to shoot you the list of no's, 100 no's, if you guys want. And anything else that you want me to send you? Do you guys have any other questions about like getting people excited, why it's important, getting them on board? And then next week, we're going to talk about actually like doing the work, like powering through. What does that look like? How do we build our schedule? How do we make it happen? Things like that. So this first week was vision. Why are we doing it? Second week, excitement. Get everybody on board. Let's share this with people. Okay, then next week we're going to learn how to do it. And most of your time, honestly, is spent in the doing, but we want to make sure we're doing income-producing activities, not shuffling paper, not making lists, actually like making phone calls, sending texts, sending emails. Okay. What other questions do you have tonight? Okay. Last call. All right. Was this helpful?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good. How are you guys feeling for team leader?
Oh, I feel like I have a lot of work to do.
Same here.
I think that sometimes people get stuck in the thought of, I have a lot to do, but they aren't doing. So they're thinking instead of doing. And I get stuck there myself sometimes, to be honest, which is why I can probably relate with this a lot. But I think about like, oh my gosh, I have all this stuff to get done and blah, blah, blah. But if I sit down and actually just power through it, it's like an hour of time. But I spend all my energy thinking about it. And in the end, it's such a waste of energy. So if you find yourself doing that, sit down, just stop thinking about it and just do it. Just block out. If you have to do, 10-minute increments at a time to make yourself do something, do it that way. I can usually do it for 30 minutes and then I usually get going. And so then it's an hour and I'll spend a whole hour and boom. And then I get up and go for a walk or whatever and clear my head. But I've usually done so much in that hour. I'm like, wow, I just kicked, some booty on that one. So don't think, just do it. So, all right, I'm going to stop the recording. Thanks for joining us tonight, and keep chatting back and forth. Some of my girls are in a triad, Laura, so they're talking to each other, and I know you're on Tegan's page and you guys talk to each other there, and so keep in contact with each other, and feel free to shoot back questions on our Facebook message group too, and we'll just keep going. Talk to you guys next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.